Walls, there are many Democrats who favor a form of universal health care that some would consider government-run health care. Where do you stand on the issue of universal health care?
Yeah, we need to cover, just like the Minnesota Medical Association, as Dr. Davis said, in their white paper for health care reform, the first thing is we need to make sure every person in this country is covered. What the politicians do, and Greg again is right on this, they spin this of trying to use socialism or a Canadian health care plan. It just makes good moral sense to get everybody covered, because I do believe health care is a right. That a child would go to bed sick or someone would be denied care is absolutely unconscionable. But it's also good economics, making sure we have a healthy workforce, making sure we get preventative care so that we don't develop these chronic diseases like diabetes and things like that. So what we need to make sure we do is let's get everyone cared. Let's make an American plan on this. Let's use the best resources. And as the Mayo Clinic and many of the people down there who've helped me on this issue talk about, put value back in this. Make sure we're paying for what we're getting and not overpaying, and keeping people healthy.
Brian Davis, there's been some talk about where you stand on privatization or not privatizing Social Security. Can you make it clear once and for all, where do you stand? Do you agree with a partial privatization of Social Security, or where exactly are you on that issue?
I agree that we need to do something to solve Social Security. People have to have proposals out there, and look, this system and its current trajectory is going to go bankrupt. But right now, we need to be committed to continuing it and making sure that everyone is receiving a check, will continue to receive a check. What I've offered is something similar to what's in the Republican Party platform. That is a partial privatization for younger workers who are used to investing with 403Bs and 401Ks. And it would be optional, not mandatory, without affecting the benefits that we have now. This is more of these scare tactics. That's what it is. We saw this in the presidential election in 1980. And I say, there you go again with these scare tactics, trying to unnecessarily scare people and mischaracterize your opponent's position.
And finally, Greg Michelson, I want to make sure we get you on the record where you stand on health care reform. What do you think needs to be done in this country? Should it be universal health care, or should there be more done to shore up private health care system?
I believe that it's still the individual's responsibility to take care of a lot of their health care problems. Unless we start addressing those first, the easier fix, there's no way we can afford any type of program, whether it's universal, single payer, whatever we have. We need to be personally responsible, take care of our diet and lifestyle that causes most of these problems first, to have an effective health care program in the future. It is getting to be very expensive. I just was visiting with a friend the other day. His mother was not able to afford her medicine that she had been told that her doctor needed, and I was visiting with him, does she really need those? What are the side effects in there? He says, well, I don't really know. It doesn't seem like she's getting a lot of help from it, but it feels like the doctors know everything and that they got to take their word for it, and they're just being medicated way too much.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for all of those responses. The debate portion is over. The final item of business here is the closing arguments. And we, again, drew earlier. Greg Michelson got the first question, so we begin our closing arguments with Tim Walz. He will get 1 minute, as will each candidate. Tim Walz.
Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for engaging in the process. Thank you to Dr. Davis and to Greg for caring enough about your country to be engaged in this. 2 years ago, the people of southern Minnesota did something that most people around the country wouldn't have believed. They took a chance on a high school teacher to step out of the high school classroom, a National Guardsman, a coach, and say, go speak for us, speak for the middle class. And since I've gotten to Congress, I've done exactly that. I fought for the most historic change in how we care for our veterans in this nation's history. I brought about a transparency to many of the processes that weren't there, that were yielded at some of the greatest ethics changes that have happened since the 1974 changes after Watergate. I've been there every step of the way to make sure the interests of my district was there. I brought change, and I battled every step of the way. If things were not the way they should have been, my voice was there. And yes, I speak passionately on the House floor. I know that when I stand on the House floor, it may be my voice, but it's the people of the first district's hopes, dreams, and visions. I'm bringing change. I'm bringing a real voice. I'm a real person. I live next door to them. I'm the guy that coaches their kids, and I'll continue to be there for them.
All right. Thank you very much, Tim Walz and Brian Davis.
Yes, Tom, I'd like to thank you very much for hosting today's event. I'd like to thank Mr. Walz and Mr. Michelson for being here on this Sunday afternoon. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. I'd also like to tell people that I'm proud to be endorsed by many organizations in this race, including the Minnesota Medical PAC, the Minnesota Citizens Concern for Life, the Association of Builders and Contractors, and many others. In this time of economic distress, we need a congressman who will tell it like it is in Minnesota and vote the same way in Washington, D.C. I pledge to you that as your congressman, I will support expanded drilling in this country so that we can get gas prices down, diesel prices down, and input costs for farmers down. My Democratic opponent several days ago admitted that he voted against drilling 12 times. Mr. Walz appears more concerned about voting along following the liberal leadership in Washington than about the real concerns of working middle-class families in Minnesotans. We need somebody that's going to tell us what they're going to do in Minnesota and vote that way in Washington, D.C.
All right, thank you very much, Brian Davis. And finally, Greg Michelson.
Thank you, Tom, and thanks to the League of Women Voters for allowing us a chance to share our views. You know, I'm not in this race because I enjoy politics, and I'm about running in this race because I'm concerned about our future, our nation's future, and our children's future. Our national debt must be controlled, and must be controlled now. It's like a credit card being charged to our children's future, and we need to end this. It's a terrible legacy to pass on to our future. Government is not the solution. Government is the problem. We need a smaller government, less intrusive government, less regulations, and keep out of our business. A long time before there was Wall Street and government, America was on the path to success. We were doing a fine job without either one of those, and I think we can continue to be successful if we get government out of the way. Thank you very much.
All right, I want to thank all three of you, Greg Michelson, Brian Davis, Tim Walz, for taking the time to be here. It's very important, I think, for the electorate to see the three of you in this race and other congressional races engaging in the discussion of these issues, and I thank you very much for that. And I thank you at home for joining us for this 5 Eyewitness News Vote 2008 special presentation. Again, we thank the candidates in the 1st Congressional District and the League of Women Voters for all taking part in this. To see this debate again, you can log on to KSTP.com, and there you will find all of your election coverage, plus links to the League of Women Voters voter guide. It will be very helpful as you try to make those very important decisions leading up to Election Day on November 4th. It is not far off. Thank you again for being here.